You are most welcome to Humans TV Africa. You are watching us live wherever you are. My name is Katon Mukasa for Humans TV Africa. I'm currently right here in the UK, and of course, we are broadcasting live wherever you are. Our team of experts in Uganda is right in the studio to have this show done. And of course, our producer, James Bongole, also based in Uganda. Today, we have a team of 3 experts right in Uganda, and we shall be discussing agroecology. And of course, our lead panelist, Mr. Kimera Henry, is right there in the studio from Consent. And we have Mr. Albert Kakande also with us. Will be telling us more about the NGO does work with. And of course, we have Mr. Mugisha Richard. You are most welcome into the studios of Mans TV Africa. Please, let us hear from you a bit of introduction before we go to Mr. Kimera. Let us start with Mr. Kakande. Albert Kakande. Who is Albert Kakande, and what are you
Yeah,
working with in Uganda?
it's an honor to be with you guys here discussing matters agroecology. I am Albert Kakande. I am a farmer trainer. I am a multiplier with the Knowledge Hub for Organic Agriculture in Eastern Africa and the Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture in Africa project. I head a PGS group. I work with the PGS group, a farmer PGS group called Memago Agroecology PGS group. We specialize in basically mainly 2 value chains, vegetable production and biofertilizer production. So matters of soil health, we really center there, and we are looking forward to making Earth a better place again, as it used to be in the Garden of Eden. I'm in Wachiso. I'm in my home now, and it's a beautiful moment having you. Thank you for hosting me.
Thank you, sir. Basically, my home is in Wakiso, so you may be a neighbor somewhere. Now,
A very
before you go to Mr. Mugisha, let me go back to Mr. Kakande. What is Memago? Because it must be an abbreviation of something.
Oh yes. Now Memago is it came from a group of farmer trainers. We were birthed by an NGO called AFAD, Agency for Integrated Rural Development, rural development, and so. As they passed us out about 4 or 5 years ago, we said no, we shall not just sit on the knowledge. Let's go and do real work. Show the farmers that what we teach you to do, we can actually do. So now Memago, ME, these are 3 sub counties. ME is Main, the sub county where I stay. MA is Masuli, it's a sub county and just neighboring in the north. And Gombe is a sub county or a division. It's in the east. It's in my east. So we teamed up and said, let's form an organic agriculture training and consultancy facility based, on the ground, on the farmers. Farmer homes, farmer families, such that we make this knowledge that we have created, that we have given them, make the knowledge work. And then that's when we zeroed down to registering as a PGS, Participatory Guarantee System. Now, as you know, this is a tier 1 or level 1 quality assurance, organic agriculture quality assurance platform. And we want to engage these farmers to produce as we look for the market, the organic market, the specific market, because we are tired of farmers producing organically, yet they can't sell, yet they find themselves mixing with the conventional market. So consumers out there would not differentiate what is this, what are you saying this is organic, how can I differentiate it from the non-organic? So PGS comes out to address those issues, because we are based on trust and efficiency, and each member supervises the other, such that we keep the organic movement alive. So that's MEMAGO. It's an acronym from those 3 sub-counties in
Thank
Wachiso
you, sir. I
district.
think I was right to ask a question because you didn't explain. Now I know Memago what it means, the 3 sub
Yeah.
counties, and that's wonderful. Now, Mr. Mugisha,
Oh,
going back to you, you are most welcome to Human TV Africa. The audience would like to know Mr. Mugisha and of course the NGO you work with.
Thank you, Kato.
Mr.
A pleasure meeting
Yes,
my
sir.
namesake, Richard, and my comrade, Albert Kakande.
Please go ahead. Mr. Mugisha, the platform is
Yes,
yours.
thank you very much, our dear viewers, followers, and those who are listening from across the world. My name is Mugisha Richard. I am the Jero is Jesus the Rock, because when you follow the biblical principles, Jesus is the best businessman that we have had on earth. So thank you very much. So Jero Farm is an urban demonstration agroecological farm that focuses on agroecological urbanized intensification. I'm a very strong activist for agroecology, eat healthy and live healthy indeed. We are nature positive, and we have about two models that we promote at the moment that are unique. One is family farming model, and the other is social enterprise model. In the family farming model, we encourage and inspire the young people, especially the family members, to see that they are very actively involved in planning, organization, and the functionality of the family business, in particular agribusiness. We want to see how we can cultivate a culture, especially in this current generation, of building generational businesses, especially in the agriculture, like how it is in other countries. But of course, you cannot do agriculture without focusing on the profitability. So we are also mindful of the people, the planet, and the profitability elements, which are very central and at the center of our business heart. So we are located in Entebbe, in Chisubi, in Wakiso district. So we are now 3 Wakisos. So I'm happy to have an opportunity to be with you people who share in common with me, especially in today's uh, era where we want to eat healthy and live healthy, especially with the employment of the agroecology principles. Let me tell you something, Kato. At the moment, I'm the only one that is able to produce tomatoes that are chemical free and are able to live. Even this afternoon, I was checking in or logging in. I've just sold 2 kilos at 20,000 that only have only 8 tomatoes a kilo. And people are willing to pay. But of course, now the challenge is, are we able to sustain the supply chain? I submit.
Wow. Now I'm really honored to see you on the show, and of course I'm very interested in the way you do farming without using these other chemicals. Really, I'm very interested. I'm honored that you're doing that, because that's the way go. But how do you do it? You shall be knowing that and more. I want to encourage all of you, our viewers in Ghana, in Nigeria. Already I'm seeing you watching us. Please continue watching, and of course, send your questions if you have any. Let us go to Mr. Kimera Henry of Consent to give us a recap of what we covered, so that our panelists can be brought on board, and then we move forward. Mr. Kimera.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kato, and I'm greatly honored to have Richard, my namesake, Albert. It is an honor having you on the show, and then Kato. The uniqueness of today is that we all reside in Wakiso in one way or another. When Kato comes in, before he goes to Luengo, where I also originate from, he resides in Wakiso. So
Yes.
I'm also currently in Masol, which is Wakiso also. So the Kodro today is all doing some business in Wakiso. So it is a great honor having you all here. And I've rubbed shoulders with all of you. And even digitally, we rub shoulders with all those that are watching and listening to us on the digital platforms. It is a great honor. And I would like to thank you, all of you who have followed us since January, when we started with food safety and food fraud, going into February, when we had still food safety, but focusing on aflatoxins, the vagaries of aflatoxin. Then the third month of March, when we were looking at the World Consumer Rights and Responsibility, when we were celebrating the month of the World Consumer Rights Day and the month where we went globally. We brought in our colleagues from Kenya, and then we brought you experiences when we were rolling out that month in from Gulu, Kasese, Fort Portal, Mbale, Wakiso, Kampala, and when we also rubbed shoulders with Bukadev, the Buganda Culture Development Foundation of the Kingdom of Uganda. So having said that, we now came into April. With the month of April, still we are looking at food safety and looking at the potential of agroecology in bringing in responsible consumption and production. And one of the foundations for that is agroecology or agricultural practices, which are very key and bring us and put a human face to the food production or the agri-foods systems. It has been a pleasure. We started with slow food when they brought in their perspective of doing work, in particular in all their areas, starting in Mokono, Buikwe, going into coffee in Mountain Aragon, in Mbale, or the Masaba region, and then we went into a bit of soil health last weekend, and this weekend we go back to the second session on agroecology, ensuring sustainable agriculture, and also looking into the soil health. Well, you will appreciate, everybody, that with unhealthy soils, we will be having unhealthy production. Even us as consumers, we will be having unhealthy life. The quality of life will be affected by the poor quality of soils, poor quality of produce, poor quality of water, the air we breathe. So agroecology has a potential to nourish the environment, to nourish our health, to nourish the air we breathe in, and to nourish all other natural resources. So colleagues, once again, you're most welcome to this 15th series ever since we started the year. And this time, we are honored to have practitioners who are doing the actual thing. And I'm very happy to know about the Nende, Masulita, and Gomba. So the Nemago, that is a beautiful one. So Kato, it is great that now we are going to listen in, and Richard, you bring in an aspect that is very key. People have a lot of skepticism how agroecology can deliver incomes to those who are practicing it. Now, you are a practitioner, you have a family, and you are doing business, social enterprise, where you are selling produce from agroecologically produced. So this is going to be a superb session. And Kato, I hand over to you now to steer us through.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chimera.
Kato, next time you're in Uganda, make sure, Mr. Kato, make sure you land during the day instead of using the express highway. You drive to Chisubi, and your cutting right fruit is a tomato at the Jero farm on the rock.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm going to do that because, first of all, my sister is not far away from Entebbe, and my brother, in fact, two of my brothers built on Entebbe Road, and of course, my sister is right there in Katende. So, yes, Kitende. So, I'll be there very soon. Now, thank you so much, sir, Mr. Kimera. Mr. Mugisha, I'll get back to you in a minute. Let me go back to Mr. Kakande. Mr. Kakande, I love your background. You have challenged me. Basically, my home in Wakiso has about 2 trees, and it's just coming up. And yours, it must be so big.
So, welcome to the agroecology field. This
Yes,
is where we
I
make
want to
it.
thank you so much. I want to thank you so much. In
Yes,
fact, I'm challenged that I'm going to
yeah,
plant more trees. I come from Rengo, as Mr. Kimera said. At
yes,
least in Rengo, I have more trees, but in Wakiso, I have just few. I'm challenged by your environment. Now, going back to
yes,
you, exactly to you, Mr. Kakande, tell us
yes.
about your organization. What do you do? And tell
Mm,
us social aspects of training and the practices into agroecology. And if you don't mind,
mm,
you can also define for
yes.
us how you understand agroecology.
Mm. Let me start from the latter. Agroecology. We us dealing with their farmers down here, we try to simplify these concepts to what they really understand. Now, it's just basically the application they use, the engineering. I mean, the way of working with nature, with nature in farming, so as not to compromise with its natural state. Yeah. So in that way, a farmer gets to know that if I am cultivating, for example, a banana field, how do I really get the maximum output of it? What do I need to do? So he gets the basics. The banana will need water. Where will I get the water? I have a trench running off, so I have to divert the water to my field. The banana has to feed, so I need to give it what to eat. So I must give it fertilizer or manure, and this should not be anywhere related to a chemical. So basically, those small nitty gritties that a farmer has to put in mind to apply on his ground, on his soil, so as to produce food and keep the soil sustainable for the next generation. So briefly, we tell them agroecology, just condense it into that, because they don't want to get in too much of the our science and what they just need the practice. Now, going back to Memago, uh, like I told you earlier, we started as trained farmer trainers of farmers, all of other trainers of farmers, and then we graduated into one solid group, Memago. So we consolidated, we gathered the farmers of Mende sub-county, Masulita sub-county, and Gombe. Now, this, if you traverse around Wachiso, now this part of Wachiso, it's the northern part of Wachiso, is majorly covered with the rocky and bad, really exhausted soils, depleted soils. Now, our concern was we are teaching these farmers how to make an organic manure, how to make farmyard manure, how to compost, how to make a bokashi, how to make liquid manure, how to make organic pesticides. But the soils on which they are going to apply these ventures, these practices, are really bad. The soils are really bad, to the extent that the farmer says, now, look at my ground. I rather make it into a quarry, a stone quarry, than wasting a lot of time putting manure there, expecting to get a different yield from what I'm getting right now. So that triggered us now to move from just imparting, from just disseminating knowledge, organic agriculture knowledge to them, to really doing. I mean, you are teaching me how to make a nitrogen, a liquid nitrogen. But quite often our farmers tend to want so much to come and attend a training session, but if you go back home, backyard, the practices are always very minimal. So now we said, now we need to really pump what we teach into these farmers by showing them that we can actually do. So this is why we said, okay, which platform is the easiest for us to have these farmers really do what we teach them, as well as making money out of it? Because at the end of it all, the equation has to come to an income which will not compromise
Yeah.
with the soil now. Yes. So this is why we said, okay, PGS is one model that can help us develop that. Farmer family learning groups is also another model that can help us to do that. Now, we started with the basics. Most of the Wachiso, Mugisha will concur with me. that most of Wachiso now is peri-urban or semi-urban. It's now an urbanized, an increasingly urbanized center. However, farmers are still available. Farmers are still in. Take a radius of 40 or 35 or 50 kilometers from the city center. It's urbanizing, but farmers are still there and they must eat. Yet we want to change these soils to really agroecological. So we said now, let's get these farmers in pools. Let us pull them together into a PGS group, because they must sell. And because we want to sell to a market that has to appreciate that we are producing organically, we have to be approved. You know, times have changed. Consumers of these days, Mugisha will concur with me, consumers of Entebbe municipality are so elite that they want to know what they eat. Where does it come from? Who produces it? What is the process of producing it? So this is the essence of now us wanting to be very well in good books of the market. Hence PGS, because it's a quality assurance model. And in that way, we wanted them to start small. So we consolidated them into the simplest value chains that they can be able to apply. I talked about the vegetable value chain. You know, in my home area here, the parish near my parish is a vegetable producing parish. Now, like I said earlier, the consumer in the market there may not distinguish between the organically prepared or produced vegetable and the conventionally produced one.
Yeah.
Yet they are yearning to eat what is fit for health. We are talking about soil health, but the equation ends up with my health, the eater, the consumer. So we put that in mind. So we said, okay, guys, if farmer A, you've been able, you can produce vegetables worth 100,000 shillings, Uganda shillings a month, yeah, and consumer B produces worth 70,000. Consumer C about maybe 30 or 50. But here's a situation where we want to earn more out of it, because it's a common phenomenon that middlemen around this time, this side of the country, the middleman earns actually more than the farmer. So we brought that in mind and said, now we want to produce organically, but we don't want this middleman to take advantage of us. Let us be able to create our own markets. Let us be able to create our own value chain. Let's take to the market, the direct market, the market that understands an organically produced a crop or vegetable. So we said, okay, if we need to produce organically, what do we need? Definitely the inputs. Inputs for what? For feeding our soil. So then we said, let's take on another value chain of organic fertilizer and manure production, not only for our crops, but also for income. You know, the equation will always be there, an extra income, an added income for these farmers. Now, instead of one farmer producing worth maybe 20,000 Uganda shillings and has to trek a journey of 10 kilometers to the market using transport of 12,000 or it could even be 10,000. That's already half of the worth of the produce this farmer has got from the farm. Why don't we pool? Why don't we monitor ourselves? Why don't we supervise ourselves? Why don't we build the trust among ourselves to supervise each other and pull the production together and take at once a product that is, one, value added, but two, quality assured? Mugisha was assuring us of that organic tomato. Trust me, a consumer there would want, like I said, they would trace back. You are telling me this is free of any traces of chemical, but how sure am I? Hence the PGS. So PGS is an international accepted model of quality assurance. The International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movements passed it, and I mean it's widely known. I mean it's what the level of our farmers can afford for now, although it's a costly one. So that's the background, and that's what we really do. So we do biofertilizer, organic fertilizer production, and the vegetable value chain so far. But you must have it in mind that PGS works in a localized area. So basically, it's recommended it should not exceed one village or at least two villages close to each other. Now I told you about 3 sub-counties. So we are building PGSs, different branches across those 3 sub-counties, yeah, such that we now know that in a radius of 40 kilometers, in the district of Wachiso, the northern part of Wachiso, anyone anywhere around that place and beyond can access organically produced farm products. It be food, vegetables, and even animals, because we are now tuning the minds of our farmers that I can raise chicken organically. Mugisha will agree with me, and if you pass via Jero Farm, you'll see that he organically manages the health of these birds, the health of those animals. It can be done. So it's a journey that we are moving steadily, and we are not about to reach the end. We must transform. One, the farmer family, food safety, food nutrition, healthy food for the home, and then healthy food for the neighbor in terms of selling to them, and even beyond. So that's basically it. And of course, like you said, the genesis of it stems with, from the soil. Yes, I want to produce, but what about the soil? Because the soil now is like the mother. What is in the soil that will give me the healthy, the organic product that I want? So we look into the soil profiles. Like I told you, the soils of the area where I am, it's nearly 70% of 60 or 70% maram. It's maram rocks. That's why a lot of stone quarrying takes place around here. But we must get food out of it. So we are into several trainings of manure production. Memago Agroecology PGS does different sets of organic fertilizers for sale and for our own farmers use, for farm use, because primarily we make it for our own farms and then sell. So soil health is key, and when you pass by one of the days you'll be around, we shall take a tour of this and see how really does the PGS work. How do these farmers earn more from the farm while beating the jigsaw puzzle of the middlemen, and so that's that so far.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kakande. Thank you so much. In fact, me, I'm a student. I always learn from you people when you come and teach us. Before I go to Mr.
Yes.
Mugisha. Now, Mr. Kakande, you are saying things that I love to hear. I come from Ruengo, basically, and the Ruengo district used to be part of used to be called
Greater
Masaka.
Masaka.
It was Masaka. It's Greater Masaka. We used to have big matoke, big bananas, Today, our yields are small. Mr. Kimera there will tell you our production has gone down, and here we're doing badly because of soil. Our soils are so poor. Now, I'm wondering, first of all, but I'm going to ask this question I'm just making a comment to you. I'm going to ask this question to Mr. Mugisha. What are you people doing? Because Mr. talked about organic farming. You gave the example of growing tomatoes organically, and you are selling a kilo at 20,000. Now, I want to learn from you, me as a struggling farmer. How are you making your soils fertile without using these fertilizers? Mr. Mugisha, I go back to you now. Mr. Mugisha, can you hear me, please? Yes, go ahead, please.
All right, thank you very much. I can hear you. Mr. Chimera,
Yes,
Richard will tell
you. Go ahead.
That for you to live healthy, you have to eat healthy. So we have understood the science and what actually a plant requires of us. When you feed it well, it becomes, especially pests and diseases. Meaning, give it healthy food in the name of good soil, give it enough manure that is organic, and that when you give it enough water, trust me, once it has eaten well, you have given it water, and you have given it good care. Because agroecology clearly tells us that for it to live by its value, there must be a proper interaction between man, plants,
Mm.
animals, and the surrounding.
Yes.
So what has been missing is that interaction between man and plant that is, you can being threatened by the external factors such as pests and disease, and you detect it early enough. I want to give you a very living example. Yesterday, one of my tomatoes, I think somehow was water stressed. It was around the 1 o'clock, and I asked my boy, just give it water. After 10 minutes, while the plant was kind of becoming and appearing withering, it came back to life. This morning around the 11, I have planted a cucumber in a bucket, and somehow it was appearing water stressed. I asked the manager that give it water. Shortly after, he had not even removed his feet. It came back to life. What does that mean to us as a farmer? That a very good and romantic interaction with plants will definitely give it more life than just thinking that it will just give you a fruit without you knowing. So, in order for me to come out as a champion of organic tomato producer in the plants that gives it life, one, healthy soil, enough manure, water on time, and interaction, which calls for supervision and which calls for really giving it your best in terms of attention. And that's how I've been able to have my farm all around chemical free. And I think I am now earning a premium price out of that. People are ready to pay. However, they say that organic products are expensive. Recently, I posted a comment on the they say agroecology, you are reducing costs in terms of input because you are using the available the local available resources, and yet its products in the market are expensive. Should be because life is a matter of death or life, and therefore when you eat healthy, you are actually ensured and assured of living longer. So people are not paying for the product in itself, but they are paying for how long they are going to live having eaten healthy food. So that's what makes organically produced foods expensive, and it will continue like that.
Mr. Mugisha, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
So thank you so much for educating us. Now, I have a challenge here. I'm admiring you, at the same time wondering how you do it. Now, imagine that you have 2 acres, 1 acre. And again, in Uganda, as all of us know, we have rain shortages. Where I come from in Ruengo is hilly. In Western Uganda, it is hilly. Now, sometimes we have water shortages. There's no rainfall. We are relying on rainfall. How are we going to manage watering our plants? Are we going to use the mineral bottle water method of Museveni? He was advising some time back. Now, Mr. Mugisha, I want you to help us advise our farmers how we put water to our farms, our gardens.
Thank you very much, Kato. I think agroecological farming does not stop a farmer from using what I would call the micro level modern kind of irrigation system.
Mm.
As long as is pure and natural. For instance, people are willing and available with expertise and skills of digging what we call shallow wells right on the farm. Even when you do not have the money to do so, then you can be able to tap water from a certain source. For instance, some wells that even when you are not able to, then you can employ someone that can get you some water from an organic source, which is commonly known as Oruzi, and then you water, depending on the acreage on the size of your land. Meaning, if you are on the 2 acre and more, it gives us an impression that somehow you have the capacity to either get someone that can fetch water for you, or you can be able to install an irrigation system, or you can dig up a shallow well that gives you a permanent source of water. So it is possible to water your 2 acre and more of plants.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mugisha. Me, I love this kind of talk because it is empowering us.
Maybe the question you ask me, how?
Yes. Continue, please. Continue, Mr. Mugisha. Go ahead.
Yeah. The other question ask me that.
Yeah, Mr. Mugisha is having some network challenges, but will be back with us. I'm very, very interested. Of course, I want to thank the viewers who are commenting on our YouTube page. Many of our viewers basically see us from Facebook, not YouTube, but those who are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. I've seen messages from Betty, Aguti, Cassie, Harriet, and one other. They have sent messages and comments. They are watching us live. Mr. Mugisha is explaining to us how we can preserve water, and this is what we want. Let us be creative. Let us dig some of these wells within our gardens to preserve water. This is a very beautiful way of improvising, working within the nature that we have. Mr. Mugisha was giving us that kind of comment. Mr. Mugisha, you are back. Please continue. Go ahead.
Yes, I think for me, in terms of how do we get and maybe sustain the supply of the organic manure and perhaps the fertilizer. Interestingly, we have now different actors, and also it gives us a practice of working with others. Before I was able to produce my own fertilizers, I used to buy from a colleague who was actually specializing in producing organic fertilizers, and it did me wonders. Unlike today, when I'm able to produce what we call the bioceride enriched fertilizer, because I have now fertilizer and I just get the decomposable materials, ebikuta by'amatoke and others, and I now can produce my own fertilizer as well as the pesticide. There are different formulas of producing your own pesticides of late. We have the likes of ash brew and many others that we can actually talk about in this afternoon conversation. So for me, it is about being creative, but also being passion driven and being mindful of other people's health, sincerely speaking. Just trust me, agroecology teaches us to be sensitive to the planet, to be sensitive to other people and also to be sensitive to profit. By the way, I have understood that agroecology has come to pay and reward a farmer, unlike the previous farming system. So let's embrace agroecology because it is also teaching us to be diversified in nature. It tells you that don't rely on one, for instance, enterprise. Another person will challenge you that why don't you specialize and be known of what you are producing? Fine. But agroecology is saying there are shocks of life, there are shocks of the circumstances. What if you lose on one? Then you should be able to survive on the other. For instance, now Gero Farm is doing a number of things. We provide services and we also are able to provide products directly. As I talk now, we do farm planning and design. We have found out that many people have burnt their fingers having received money in any way and have invested it in agriculture, and before they know they are making losses. But Gero Farm tells you, don't worry, plan, design your farm, and then phase budget, phase your implementation. Trust me, you'll not burn your fingers. As I talk now, we are signing a contract of managing and designing someone's farm that is equivalent to 55 acres. And there's another one with 100 acres that is coming on board. So isn't that an income for a farmer in the farming system? It is possible. We are also providing tourism, that is learning and touring. You come and see, appreciate, believe, but also learn the best practices. We also provide private aid or private sector aid, extension and advisory services. You are aware that government traditionally has been known for providing extension and advisory service, but somehow they are also limited. And we are saying this is possible for a farmer because it is you who knows what you are doing. So why don't you support someone that you are doing? Lastly, in terms of service, we train and skill family households. As I've said, that Gero Farm provides family farming model. We have understood that for us to be more sustainable, does not only require for you to be having money on the bank or in the pocket, but can you have the knowledge of every member? Like Mr. Chimera, as he's in his office of Consent Uganda, can you ask your house help or a member at home to water your plant in the pot? And does she know how the amount of water that she should be able to water? Can she tell you by phone that now I have observed this plant is trying to develop some pests and diseases, and then you advise? So that kind of basic knowledge we give to family members, regardless of whether you are born or raised, they are all equal players. We have products such as honey. We don't have to be beekeepers. We are saying, can you add value and stand in the middle of the value chain, but also support the grassroots farmer to be able to have a market? As I talk now, we are also in the coffee value chain. Trust me, Kato, when you come back to Uganda and everyone listening and watching, in Entebbe, I think we are now the Jero Cafe, located opposite Savio on Entebbe Road, Chisubi. Trust me, the limit, the sky is no longer the limit. Agriculture pays, it rewards the farmer. It is possible, comrades.
Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Mugisha. To me, I'm learning. And of course, our team is in Uganda. We want to encourage them to visit. I'm going to encourage you to share with us your telephone number. Yes, I'm going to be encouraging Mr. Mugisha and Mr. Kakande to share with us your contacts. Our producer will be able to run them on the screen so that people can give you business, because I've had an element of training. I would like to invite you to Ruengo, where I have a small school, and you teach our farmers. Yes, and this is how we can help each other, because whatever you are saying, I want people to benefit from it. And in the next show, if you can make it, I'm going to request you to get us some images, some photos of what you do, because my friends in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Malawi, we're a network. Human CV Africa and South Africa, we are a network beyond Uganda. We are within Africa and beyond. So I want my colleagues to learn from you by watching what you do through photography and, of course, some videos. Now, I want to request before we get to Mr. Kimera, to request our producer Dennis to please show us that video from PGS, Mr. Kakande. Let us have a look at it, and then we shall go back to Mr. Kimera to give us an analysis and policy going forward. Mr. Dennis, let us have that video, please.
As Dennis,
very important technology right at Gero Farm, which is called the charcoal cooler, or you can call it the charcoal fridge. This is the most efficient technology that we can find on the modern farms, especially in the urban but also rural urban farms. This technology does not use electricity.
no, that is.
We only use wood and charcoal, which is used to refrigerate or cool the vegetables and fruits in order to supply them the next day or the following day to your clients. And I'm going to show you how it works. You only need to get water, open it. This is how it works. This water is rainwater, or you can use the spring water because it does not have chemicals to cause the rusting of the good. So you put water twice a day to allow the charcoal to cool down. So these holes are provided in order for you to pass water through. When you do it twice a day, the charcoal will absorb, when there is wind, it will absorb this water.
Those are images from Gero Farm, Uganda. You can see how Mr. Mugisha does his work producing organically made food. We are watching and learning from Mr. Mugisha of Gero Farm, Uganda, right there. We want to learn from him and other practitioners to know exactly what we can do to have organic food and we save ourselves from food poisoning.
In the fridge, without going bad, these vegetables remain in their natural form. You can find them as fresh and natural looking as you actually put them in day one. And also this fridge helps us to maintain the nutrients in the vegetables compared to the English or the conventional refrigerator. You can put vegetables, you can put every type of fruit, and trust me, for a week, we are going to keep our vegetables. Whenever our clients come, we'll find them. And rural farmers or rural settings, especially in the refugee camps, where they may not have the readily source of power. But even when you are in town, like Gero Farm is, you cut costs or expenditure on electricity. It has a locker, you can put a padlock. Now on top, you also put some lubricant. So that you are able to cool it from above and also in the bottom. It runs for about, you can spend on it about 450,000 Uganda shillings, which is most affordable. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. This is very mobile, you can move it from one place to another. Ladies and gentlemen out there, farming is possible. It only requires being innovative, and you can only find this technology that is most efficient and electricity free right at Jero Farm. Please come and learn, and we'll see how to improve our food systems in Uganda.
Thank you so much, sir. Farming is possible. And remember, Africa, our backbone is agriculture. Uganda, 80% of us survive on farming. And I love this video. Thank you so much, Mr. Mugisha of Jero Farms. Let us go now back to Mugisha. Kudos for that. We want to send people to you to learn from you. Urban farmers. Urban farming is very possible. Thank you so much. Let us go to Mr. Kimera. Mr. Kimera, give us your analysis of the whole show so far and talk about policy going forward.
Thank you very, very much, Albert and Richard, or Mugisha and Kakande. You have really given us the practice, the practicals. So we thank you very much, Richard, for that video, which is practical. And I trust that next weekend, Albert, Mr. Kakande, you bring us Memago in action with the participatory, the PG, the PSG, the participatory guaranteeing system. Yes. So all this shows you that everything is possible. And Kato, you are talking about our banana plantation, the banana belt. One of the things that are leading us to having the small finger clusters that used to be huge, but now they are so small. And we do not take it back for soil health. So that will be something agroecology bringing an answer to that with all the practices both colleagues have shared. Our farms in Ruengo or in Greater Masaka would be in position if either we start peeling the matoke and keep the peelings and we take them back to the gardens, or we manage agroecologically the biomass and use the materials to enrich the health of the soil. So that could be one of the aspects. And I really love the way it has gone on. I told you last weekend back home when we started doing some little bits of agroecology and the changes we saw, and that can be replicated elsewhere. So the two colleagues sharing can be very good to bring on board many other aspects. So the other aspect is that consumers with healthy living, both in big incomes and low incomes, they are all towards healthy living. So these products from such systems and practices of agri-food systems that are sustainable are going to play a major role. So let's encourage our colleagues to continuously do that. Furthermore, with regards to regulation policy approaches, these are the practices that we'll need to take in the policy spaces, the regulatory spaces, like we mentioned last week, that mainstreaming agroecology into many other national strategies, in national policies is very key. And it is nice that our colleagues who are part of the agroecology mainstreaming strategy or agroecology strategy are online. I saw Harriet coming in, and my other colleague Agnes Chirabu, who does a lot of agricultural policy and policy advocacy. She's on board. You will find that these practices are going to be very key in mainstreaming and using them as examples that can restore soil health, environmental health, water health, health and nutrition. So these are some aspects that are very key and would be mainstreamed in all policy environments. and I liked, because I will use just another 1 minute and leave the rest to Mr. Kakando also to bring in further examples of practice. You know, looking at the soils, all of the environment in which they are working as Memago, where quarrying is a major business, but bringing this practice will be a major way of turning the way of life, of making sure that at sub-county, county, and district, their policy approaches and actions are key. Then they bring them to the national level using those practices. So having said that, I wish to conclude my insights from both of them that food safety is very key and agroecology can deliver it, but how we handle it after agroecology has delivered it is very key to make sure that the food through agroecological practices reaches the table, it is in the market, and it is safe. Second, water safety is very key and it is important. If all these agroecological practices make water healthy, we should make sure that the practices are taken on board and make sure that they are key. Then the other aspect of environment in general, we can never have safe food if the general environment in which it is grown, it is prepared, it is sold, and it is prepared for consumption is not healthy. So a safe environment is also very key. Health safety. Some people say you go to health facilities, instead of getting cured, you contract more disease. So it is like the health of the environment in which we prepare should have healthy safety. I would like to conclude by the aspect of nutrition. You can never have nutrition if there is no safe environment in which it is promoted, scaled up. So it touches food, water, the environment itself. So all these are very key aspects. And I trust that with these discussions, we are going to manage to do that. Lastly, Kato, you were asking if Albert and Richard will be coming on board. I've already asked them, and I'll continue massaging them to make sure that they come back next Saturday, Albert, to show us those quarries and how Memago is turning the maram into healthy soils to produce. We can look of thinking, how do we get those quarries after they are abandoned and we turn them into productive areas for any kind of production for land? Then Richard is on the rock at Jero, and if you know Kisubi and a bit of Katavi, it is a rocky area, but he produces food out of it. He earns a living out of it. He's also nurturing quality and training others. So all these, we are going to use the month of April and the month of May to look at food and the food environments, look at food governance, and making sure that the aspects that are practical with organic or agroecological agriculture are promoted. Let me end with the fertilizer. I would love to see the synthetic fertilizer, the energy that is put in promoting it is the energy that is put in promoting the organic fertilizers. Because the organic fertilizers have got a role to play as an alternative to synthetic fertilizers. So I trust with all this discussion, by the time we finish a minimum of 8 series, I trust everybody watching us, listening in, will have learned a thing or two, because on every series, I continuously learn something. So
Thank you so much.
food is healthcare and food is medicine. Thank you.
That's the best one there. Food is healthcare, and of course, food is medicine. Now, Mr. Kakande, I'm very
Yes,
interested in
yes.
your talk. I'm very interested in
Mm,
your talk, and I want to encourage you that in the next show, please
yes.
show us some of
Mm,
these images. I want my farmers throughout Africa to learn. Why?
mm,
Because
mm,
it's you, Kakande, it is you, Kimera, it is you, Mugisha, who are going to save
mm.
Africa from poverty, not the
Exactly.
politics. We need food, and Africa's niche is through food production. That's
Definitely.
where our competitive advantage is. But now, why should we be importing food from India?
Mm,
We should be supplying food to India. We should be supplying food to Europe. So that's why, to me, this show is so important. And I want to continue having experts like you on board because you see, if you teach us, someone in Sierra Leone is going to be learning. Our colleagues in Sierra Leone are sharing this on their Facebook. We have HTV Sierra Leone, HTV Ghana, HTV Nigeria, HTV Malawi. We have our localized branches of this station right there. They are sharing this. Now, I want the viewers, please, if you want to contact Mr. Kakande, the email is right there on your screen and the number is right there. They can teach you things right where you are. And of course, Mr. Mugisha's contact is right there. And of course, we are always with Mr. Kimera right here. And the contacts, we always give them to you. Now, going back to Mr. Kakande, as we conclude,
yes.
I'm very interested. I'm very interested in how you help your farmers to
Mm,
make use of the bad soils. Because I know the soils. I have a
mm.
garden in Wakiso. I know the soils, how poor they are. How are you helping
Yes.
these farmers make these soils yield something good?
Now, the basics are simple. Uh, before we were born, I'm currently 42 now. Now, 40 years ago, my grandfather and my father didn't used to have these problems. I mean, the soil was self-sufficient. Now, we can put it on the pressure on the population, pressure in the pocket that people are
Mm.
doing very dubious things to have food. Uh, Same scenario with my Masaka guys. Now, we need to go back to the basics. Simple thing. Where did the mulching go? You talked about how do we have the water
Mm.
in the gardens. How does the farmer have water in the garden? Now, question would be, how would the farmer prevent water from running out of the garden? Simple things as mulching. You know, I've talked about the pressure on population, pressure on this. People are now resorting to fast things, something that works very fast. Someone will see mulching as a time wasting venture. Now, mulching will do two things. It will keep the moisture in the soil. Whatever you mulch in about a season will have broken down now into manure and it will become part of the soil. You are building the profile of the soil, hence its capacity now to hold water from the next season. You see, basic things. What have you planted in the garden alongside the main crop? Where did the cover cropping go? You see, you tell someone, okay, this is your banana field now. How about if we cover crop it with pumpkin? And then they will say, pumpkin will take a lot of my water. But now it's the pumpkin that is covering the soil and preventing it from heating up and losing water. So you are retaining the water in the soil as you are doing compost to reinforce the feeding. So building the profile of the soil in the basic ways. These farmers know these things. Only that, of course, we can't underestimate the need for moving with the world very fast. But talk about the trenching, basic trench.
Mm.
You see, if you construct that trench in the appropriate way, we call it the A-frame. Follow the gradient. You know, in one of the aspects in the agroecology, organic and agriculture entirely, there's that aspect of permaculture. Now, it tells you to follow use the patterns, use the normal patterns to maximize your environment, your ecology. Now you have a slightly slopy ground, and the water is running off. It has rained heavily. I mean, for like a week. But now after 3 weeks, you come back to us and say, now I need to irrigate. Yet you had this enormous amount of running water. Use the patterns on your farm to gather, to capture. I mean, harvest that water. Do some. Mugisha talked about the pits, the water conservation pits. Okay, if it is too hard, then do the trenches. Do the trenches as you do the mulching. The water will enter the garden and stay there for a while. It will run you through a month or two before your crop is exhausted. So these are the best things we teach the farmers to revisit. Actually, this knowledge has been there. Indigenous knowledge tells us that these things were like automatic. A farmer has a ficus tree in the middle of a banana plant, in the middle of a coffee plant. He has a mogavu tree busy in the middle of the garden. These were to provide the shade. I mean, fall off leaves, becoming part of the soil profile. Patterns used to move naturally. This is where we need to go back to. This is where we need now to emphasize the knowledge that it is not rocket science. This is not new. This is what God designed us to do, and we should do that. So these are basic things that we are endeavoring to reignite, to remind our farmers of. Of course, because of urbanization and moving forward very fast. This is why now we innovate around the urban farm. I mean, for the urban farmers, let me get you a 10-kilogram pack of a bio-enriched compost. Let me get you a 10-kilogram pack of a biochar fertilizer, things like that. Because they will say, okay, now my garden is 50 by 10 feet. So, I mean, I don't have the time to waste on mulching, time to waste on trenches. In any case, the trench will not fit there. Yet, this urban farmer must eat. So this is why we innovate around the different kinds of fertilizer that will enhance the soil, because we want the soil to be built. It's maram type of soil down here, but you must build it to the capacity of producing food organically. So this is why we encourage the manures, the composts, and the likes of those. Practices are there, they have been around, and we must just rejuvenate them and make them work. So that is how our farmers down here are being transformed to revisit. These are not new things, we're just revisiting. Trust me, we shall make Africa wake up again, because we just went into sleeping intentionally or otherwise. Yeah,
I agree with you, and thank you so much, Mr. Kakande. I agree with you. These things are not new. We used to do them. Our grandparents used to do them, but we simply negated them. We forget about them. We want quick solutions, and that's why food poverty. I mean, it's right there in Africa. Everywhere, people are lacking food. When we have our soils, we have our basics that can make us really richer than many of the other continents. But I want to thank you so much, Mr. Mugisha. I want to thank you so much, Mr. Kakande. Mr. Mugisha's contact is right there, the website, the phone number, the YouTube. If you want to learn farming, please contact these experts. We'll bring them to you here to learn from them. If you're in Uganda, they are easily accessible. If you are in any part of the world and you want to learn how they do it, please write to them. Those numbers on WhatsApp, you can always send a message to them and learn from them. You can consult them. They are consultants at, of course, a good and fair fee. They cannot give you these services because we want to chase poverty from our homesteads. I want to thank the participants for today, and I want hope that they'll be able to make it and the next show. Now, Mr. Kakande, before I go back to Mr. Kimera to close the show, give us your parting shot. And if possible, if you can make it next week, let us know that we'll be able to make it next week. Please, Mr. Kakande, back to you.
Yeah, my parting shot is I can't talk about soil health, plant health, organically producing food without talking about an indigenous seed. This is maize.
I like that.
Not popcorn. This is an indigenous maize variety. This too is an indigenous maize variety. So let us get these foods back. This is a chayote. I saw Mugisha having it. Now, we are
Mm.
talking about food safety, health of us. We have talked about the soil health, but the soil is giving us what we must eat. So let us visit these indigenous seeds, and I mean they are health foods. Leave alone taking only carbohydrates. You know, I'll get
Mm.
flavonoids, I'll get alkaloids, I'll get everything from this maize. So my parting shots are: let us go back to the roots. The Garden of Eden was very fertile. God designed it for us to use it and eat it. So please let us revisit it. So find some time and take some old school cartoon, the passion fruit, and we shall make
Mm.
this
I love that one.
food again. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You said you are 42, I'm 45, so we are in the same bracket right there.
Ah.
So our problems are the same. We used to see good bananas coming from our gardens. Today, they are no more. And I'm happy you are championing this in these sub-counties, in these areas.
You look.
Honestly, I'm going to reach out to you. And I know many other guys are going to reach out to you because we want to improve our way of making food happen in our gardens. Mr. Kimera, give us your parting shot as we prepare for going to the next week.
Thank you very much, and I would like to thank Mogisa. I would like to thank Kakande, and I would like to thank you, Kato. Now you are boasting that both of you are on the fourth floor, but I think Mugisha must be either on the third floor, moving towards the fourth floor, and
Yeah.
very soon I'll be welcoming you as I'm exiting the fifth floor. You will be entering the fourth
Ah,
floor, the fifth floor. So,
old man of the clan.
that is not a bad mix. 3, 4, 5. So by the time you come to the fifth floor, it will be 4, 4, 5, 6. So let's
Mm.
continue working together. But
Yeah.
my parting shot, colleagues, this has been an amazing session. And like I said earlier, April is going to be agroecology moving into May, bringing in organic um, agriculture. So I know agroecology and organic agriculture are inseparable, but it will be rich discussion. And today has also been a rich session. And when Paul, you talked about food poverty, I would like to say that there is not only economic poverty, there is food poverty, nutrition poverty, knowledge poverty, there is also behavior poverty, and there is also health poverty. You say it, poverty is widespread, but we are more told to focus on the economic poverty. But I think one can be poor or in nearly everything, even manners. So if without good manners, you are not good. You are not going to be good in making the soil healthy. You are not going to be good in keeping the food healthy. So good food can nourish good manners, can nourish good health, and nourish everything. So colleagues, it was a great honor. And once again, I enjoy saying these words, and I will not stop saying them. Food is medicine. Food is healthcare. And if food is not safe, it is not food, it is poison. Because you've heard about food poisoning, it's because the food was not safe. And if we are not keeping it safe, we are not keeping the soils healthy, we will get food poisoning. If we are not keeping water safe, we'll get water poisoning and end up with food poisoning. Waterborne diseases end up leading to foodborne diseases. So even soil, unsafe soil, will lead to foodborne diseases. So colleagues, let's keep watching, let's keep learning, let's continue to share and continue networking. So I look forward to having Richard and Albert next weekend. We'll look out for Julius to bring us some other views from eastern Uganda, from the mountains, and then so that even Kato can learn that some of the foods grown in the mountains in eastern Uganda can be brought into Ruengo, where it is at time water stressed, but with agroecology, we can find that many other crops can grow in our areas if we manage the waters very well, and if we manage nature and nurture it, it will nurture the quality of life, it will nurture the quality of health, the quality of the environment, which is our right and responsibility to sustain. It was a great honor and looking forward to being with you next Saturday. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kimera. Of course, there have been viewers who sent us messages. Henrietta Namwavula sent a message right there. Agnes Kirabo, Betty Aguti, Harriet Nakasi, and others. Thank you so much for those who wrote messages. I want to thank our colleagues in Ghana who are streaming it live on our Facebook page in Ghana, our colleagues in Nigeria, and our colleagues in Sierra Leone who have been doing live Facebooking, and of course on our official Facebook page. We always do well on Facebook because we stream live our shows right there. Thank you so much, Mr. Kimera, for bringing more experts into this show. And of course, thank you so much, Mr. Kakande, for educating us. I'm learning every day. I want to be a better farmer. That's my aspiration. If you ask me what do you want to be, I want to retire as a better farmer. Now, I want to thank you so much because every day I improve. I do farming using my telephone in small ways. I have my team in Uganda that do farming. I'm putting my small piece of land here and there into yours. So you teach
I'm
me.
praying
I learn
for
from you. Yes,
Yeah.
I learn from you. I do farming, and of course, I want my teams to come on the ground and see what you do. But also, if everything is well with me, I will get some of you experts to go in Ruengo and teach my people, and also see how I'm struggling with my small farms. Because I want us to learn through cross-cutting, cross-teaching, You will get people from Gombe to go and visit Rengo, to go and visit whatever, Soroti, and learn. This is how we are going to transform our country. Believe you me, our countries are poor because of food scarcity. Because we keep on spending so much money on food. The moment we conquer food, we have our own food, we shall be able to govern ourselves better. Thank you so much. Today, I got something from Mr. Kakande. He said, soil health equals my health. That is something I got from you as the catchword. And of course, always, Mr. Kamara says, if it's not food, if it's not health, it's not food, These are the catchwords that keep on getting in each show. Thank you so much, all of you, Mr. Mugisha, Mr. Kakanda, and of course, Mr. Kimera, for making the time. And of course, thank you so much, Dennis Pongole, in the studio. We shall be back here on Saturday, same show, same topic, but of course, widen a bit. And I hope that day we shall have more images from Mr. Kakande, and Mr. Mugisha, and Julius, and of course, the usual suspects, Bernard and Kimera. Thank you so much. See you in the next show.
I would like lastly to thank Pelham for having brought in their associates, and we look forward to many others bringing in their associates. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. See you.
See you in the next show.